slightly below this woman. It is not yet known what his role is going to be, but at least we know that the woman is going to be heading this department. I think when it comes to, you know, the girl child and them going places, there is something that is happening at the Vatican, and I like it. Hi, Jeremy. Don't you like it?
There's so many changes, by the way, since Pope Francis came into office.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the previous popes are not in the same direction, but of course I think when you look at the reports coming in, as we started this conversation, before we even went on air, I had to even ask what it means for a woman to be in this position.
Yes.
Meaning it's one that's supposed to be looked at as a huge milestone.
Yes.
Not only for the Catholic Church, but for the women ministers world over in various religious denominations. Because despite the fact that we've always had this conversation of equality in the church, at times you get to realize, Olive, that not so many women have been given the chance or the opportunity to serve in various roles. Of course, despite those that serve under the Church of England or the Church of Uganda or the Anglican Church, where we are seeing women as preachers, women as bishops. But of course, over the years, many of these changes have been coming in. And at least one would say church has not been reached with decision making. And over the years, we are seeing these changes. And of course, I'm thinking that we're going to be looking at more women getting into these positions, especially
as they
in
should.
church.
As they should.
And also in the same capacity, as we're heading into the summit, yesterday I got the chance of attending the media breakfast meeting, where quite a number of reporters, media presenters were there as they were being taken through what to expect during the summit, the 3 days going to be held in Munyonyo. And of course it was more like a formal kind of preparation for the media personalities, or let's say reporters, how best they can articulate the facts during the summit and how they can really report to the masses. It's a huge summit, which means the Ugandans need to be in the know of whatever happens there, the decisions, the declarations, and what have you.
All right, yes, the summit is surely taking shape, that I can assure you. We are ready as Good Morning Uganda to bring you all the updates regarding the same. Now, still in the news that has been happening across Uganda, yesterday, one of the team members of retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye's team was held in contempt by court, and that is Aaron Kizza. Now, Aaron Kizza will have to serve a 9-month sentence as prescribed by the court martial because he was held in contempt of court. So much more is happening regarding the same, and also the case will be coming back. Like I mentioned yesterday, Martha Karua, the Kenyan lawyer, was given a temporary permit to practice law in Uganda, and she's also part of Kizza Besigye's team. Well, let's go to Studio B and check on Robert Chirabo. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning to you. How have you been?
I've been great. How are you?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes. 9th, we'll be kicking off with that great Africa Union Extraordinary Summit, the CADIP Summit, and that will be at Speak Resort, Munyonyo and Conventional Center. Now, I'm very excited because we are going to be focusing on issues of modernization, mechanization of agriculture and food security. And I'm very anxious to see what is going to be the outcome of the Kampala Declaration, because this is the document that is going to guide the continent on agriculture for the next 10 years. So I just can't wait to see what is the content in there, and also follow closely, because I believe we shall all be here for the next 10 years. Follow closely if we really have achieved so much. But I liked your open up of the Pope appointing none there. Now, one of the things that have been holding women back is religion and culture. Now, I must say, when we see strides as such being made in the Catholic Church, because believe you me, we've always had this kind of, when it comes to issues of religion, I want to be very particular, but a number of them have tried to limit women to a certain extent. Remember the first time I saw a female reverend in the Anglican Church, I was like, oh, or one presiding over marriage. That was at All Saints Cathedral and around in Tinda. It moved me because I'd grown up seeing couples being wedded or this marriage being presided over by a man. So I think we are making great strides in that area, and it should be a step for other religious dominations and other people in religion to follow suit and say, how more do we open up gaps for women to take top positions in the different religions and faith that we have.
All right. And also the reason why she has a pro-prefect, some Vatican canons and lawyers are arguing that some of the decisions made by prefects of departments are made in the name of the Pope. So it makes sense for them to be made by someone that is ordained in a priesthood. And because nuns are regarded as lower than priests, and I'm not saying this in any derogatory manner, probably it gives credence to the reason why Father Fernandez was chosen as a pro-prefect. But we will know more because the Vatican has not really explained why there is a pro-prefect. If we get to know, you will know too. But now, let's get into the local news.
And with the local news, we start off with the General Court Martial in Makinde, presided over by its chairman, Brigadier General Robert Freeman Mugabe, who remanded retired Colonel Kizza Besigye and Haj Obed Lutale to Luzira prison until January 13th, 2025. Despite the head of their defense team, Martha Karua, being granted a practicing certificate by the Uganda Law Society, the same court also considered the contempt of court charges following the misconduct of one Aaron Kizza, one of Besigye's defense lawyers, who was whisked away from the court chambers. Supporters of the head of PPF, retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, thronged the General Court Martial in Makinde on Tuesday, where he, alongside his co-accused Haj Obed Lutale Kamlegea, reappeared to answer charges on 4 counts. Earlier, the Uganda Law Council issued Besigye's Kenyan defense lawyer Martha Karua a practicing certificate to represent Besigye and his co-accused Obed Lutale, who are charged with illegal possession of ammunition and firearms. However, the General Court Martial rejected Karua's representation, stating that only lawyers from AF Mpanga were authorized with written instructions to represent Besigye and Lutale. Now, prosecution led by Colonel Raphael Mujisha stated that they were not given instructions to represent Besigye and Lutale, and those lawyers claiming to represent them were told to follow the rules of procedure. And according to the prosecutors, AF Mpanga advocates were the only lawyers with instructions to represent Besigye, specifically Apple Okatumba, Ernest Kalibala, and Frederick Mpanga. Brigadier General Robert Freeman Mugabe, the chairperson, asked the registrar of the court martial to check his records to verify who had been given instructions to represent Besigye. However, lawyer Arias Lukwago intervened, requesting to be heard before the registrar took action. Although over 30 lawyers were representing the accused, the court cited that some did not have written instructions, so they stuck on the confirmed 3 lawyers. In the doc, Besigye emphasized that all the lawyers present in the court were authorized to represent him, including lead counsel Martha Karua. Now, lead lawyer Martha Karua, who obtained a certificate from the Law Council, expressed dissatisfaction with how the matter was being handled in court following the arrest of her colleague Aaron Kizza. Although the court was prepared to deliver a ruling on the matter of trying civilians in a court-martial, this was postponed as the defense lawyers stated that they would not receive the ruling without their colleague Aaron Kizza. Now, after a short break of 15 minutes, Chairman Freeman adjourned the case until January 13th, 2025. And in another development, the defense lawyer Aaron Kizza was charged with misconduct in court and sentenced to 9 months in Chitalia prison.
And the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries has held a media engagement with journalists in preparation for the upcoming African Union Extraordinary Summit. The engagement aims to foster collaboration and ensure accurate reporting of the proceedings and outcomes of the summit. This engagement took place at the Media Center in Kampala. The summit, scheduled for January 9th to 11th this very year, will bring together African leaders to discuss agriculture, modernization and food security, among other critical issues. The Ministry of Agriculture engaged the media practitioners to formalize them with the topics and expectations for the media coverage. Stephen Bintwale Tibijuka, who represented the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, emphasized critical role the media will play in the upcoming Africa Union Extraordinary Summit. The country director of the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, David Wazomba, reaffirmed commitment to the summit. The African Union Extraordinary Summit aims to transform agri-food systems, promote sustainable agriculture, enhance food security, and drive economic growth. The Katikkiro of Uganda, Charles Peter Mayiga, has cautioned musicians against engaging in violent behavior, emphasizing that such action could lead to the downfall of their careers. He warned them against being used and participating in violence as musicians. This was highlighted during a courtesy visit by a musician, Hajara Namukwaya, popularly also known as Spice Diana, to the Katikkiro of Buganda at Buganda Kingdom Headquarters in Bulange, Mengo. During the end of year event, chaos and fights erupted between two groups of musicians, Pius Mayanja, also known as Palaso, and Patrick Murana, also known as Alien Skin. The disagreement led to injuries and property damage. The Katikkiro of Uganda, Charles Peter Mayiga, cautioned musicians to avoid such, saying this could jeopardize their music career. This occurrence during an engagement with Spice Diana, who paid a courtesy call to the Katikkiro. In attendance were the Speaker of Buganda Ruchiko, Patrick Mugumbure, Buganda Minister for Information, Israel Kazibwe Kitoke, and other officials. And finally, from the local scene, the chairman of car dealers in the country, Kavumvi Charles, is concerned about the delayed fitting of digital registration number plates for both private and public motor vehicles in the country. The exercise officially began on Monday, 3.5 years after the government signed an agreement with MS joint stock company Global Security to set up an intelligent transport monitoring system. However, the chairperson said that government has yet to provide guidance on the way forward.
Now moving on to the international scene, rescuers searched into the night for survivors after a major earthquake killed at least 126 people and damaged more than 3,000 buildings in a remote part of the Chinese region of Tibet near Everest. Another 188 people were injured after the earthquake hit the foothills of the Himalayas at around 9 o'clock local time on Tuesday, according to Chinese state media. A large-scale rescue operation was launched with survivors under additional pressure as temperatures were predicted to fall as low as 16 degrees Celsius overnight. Minus 16 degrees Celsius overnight. Earthquakes are common in the region, which lies on a major geological fault line, but Tuesday's was one of China's deadliest in recent years. The magnitude 7.1 quake, which struck at a depth of 10 kilometers, which is about 6 miles, according to data from the US Geological Survey, was also felt in Nepal and parts of India, which neighbor Tibet. Videos published by China's state broadcaster CCTV showed destroyed houses and brought down buildings in Tibet's holy Shigatse city, with rescue workers wading through debris and handing out thick blankets to locals. Now moving on, around 30,000 Los Angeles residents were issued with evacuation orders on Tuesday after fast-moving wildfires accelerated by fierce winds threatened over 13,000 structures. Firefighters were battling to contain the blazes in the hills and forests close to upmarket neighborhoods such as Santa Monica, Venice Beach and Malabo, home to hundreds of celebrities and prominent people. No injuries have yet been reported, by California Governor Gavin Newsom said that there were many structures already destroyed. With the worst of the winds expected between 10 p.m. Tuesday and 5 a.m. Wednesday local time, he warned residents across Southern California not to assume they are out of danger. Los Angeles is currently experiencing an extreme fire weather condition with red flag alert, the city's fire chief Christine Crowley said during a press briefing. The fire is being fueled by a combination of strong winds and surrounding topography, which is making it extremely challenging for our personnel that are assigned to this incident. Now back to Africa. Catholic bishops in Cameroon are increasingly urging President Paul Biya not to seek another term of office as the nation gears up for a presidential election in October. In separate statements, the bishops have cited the president's failing health and advanced age, together with years of unkept promises, as reasons Biya should step aside. Biya, 91, is the world's oldest leader. He has spent 42 of those years as president. He has not formally declared his candidacy, but in his New Year address to the nation, the president hinted he still intends to stay in power. Why do we always expect the head of state to be a candidate? Bishop Barthélemy Yaouda Hago of Yagua in the country's far northern region said, "Enough is enough," he continued, and explaining Biya is already too old to continue running the affairs of the nation. Archbishop Samuel Cleilda of Douala noted that asking Biya to seek re-election was unrealistic. "What I want for my country is a peaceful transition. This means that we must organize elections in accordance with the norms, elections where everyone accepts the democratic game." Well, that's it from Cameroon. Now let's turn our focus onto the press.
All right, now into the press, we start off with the New Vision because according to the New Vision, what Uganda is said to benefit from the AU summit. You can find details of that in today's case, as mark his 143 PhD graduates as Makerere University heads into the graduations come next week. Now, the voter register, President Museveni writes to NRM leaders regarding the same. As technocrats say, proposed KCCA landfill will lead to bigger disaster. Now, the new garbage site, ministers and experts have clashed on the same. The Besigye trial stalls again. There's a pictorial of the retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye, his co-accused Haj Obed Lutale, and one of Besigye's lead lawyers in Aaron Kiza in the dock during proceedings in the court-martial. Now, who is the new deputy head of public service? Find that report in today's New Vision. The picture is also at the front page there. And then off to the Daily Monitor. Besigye's lawyer jailed after banging the table. Now, contempt of court. The legal team of Uganda's opposition leader has greeted with horror and dismay the news of 9-month sentence slapped on one of its members after an incident. Failed session in the General Court Martial provided a lot of hot air but little liftoff. Now, the pictorial, you could easily see some of the lawmakers who are behind Besigye. Now, also in the same regard, Uganda registers 70% increase in Mpox cases according to a new report as Justice Kabito's JSC tenure ends in January. Now, also how bank client lost savings to online tricksters. More of that is in the Daily Monitor. And in the home's perspective, new year, new home, ensuring a smooth move. And in the other news, traffic diversion as Kampala AU summit kicks off. Then the regional news, war claimants turn to NUP over delayed compensation. That is with the Daily Monitor. Now to Kenya, the Daily Nation writes, men who owe us answers. Abductions constitute crimes against humanity, the activists say in Kenya. And in between the lines, on the spot is the rising number of abductions has put security and criminal justice system leaders in the spotlight due to the delays and failure to prevent the enforced disappearance of government critics. Now their actions and inaction have seen some rights defenders initiate a court procession to take the abduction cases to the International Criminal Court. That is with the Daily Nation. Now life after cabinet, the Daily Nation writes, Ruto's sacked ministers speak out. Now at the front is Simon Chelungui, there is Aisha Jumwa, there is also Ezekiel Machungu, there is Zakaria Njeru, and then Mithika Lituri and Susan Nakumicha, who are also part of President Ruto's initial cabinet before they were sacked last year. Now, schools to wait longer for release of 48 billion Kenyan shillings capitation. And in the back page, you can also see heritage, modern versus ancient. The fears of Mombasa losing its ancient identity start looming, according to the Daily Nation. Now, also criminal justice, the main players at the front page. You can see Benson Ingonga, the Director of Public Prosecutions, who is tasked with ensuring that anyone linked to abduction faces justice. And then there is also Nuruddin Haji, the National Intelligence Service Director, who has remained silent, yet he has a role in getting information on who is abducting the youth. And then Muhammad Amin, who is the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the Directorate of the Criminal Investigations boss, which is mandated to undertake all criminal investigations, including the kidnappings. So the Daily Nation is asking, why are they silent on this matter? Now, lastly, from our press review, we head to Tanzania. What 2025 has in store for startups in Tanzania. Find the details in there. As Chadema warns against violation of election rules, that is also with the Citizen. Then Mwinyi issues ultimatum on leased isolates. And is Gen Z extravagant and generally reckless? The question is there. And then they say, think again. That does it for our press review this Wednesday.
Now, Joram, I will ask you as a Gen Z, are you guys extravagant? That's a pertinent question, right?
No, we are not.
Are you sure?
No, we are not.
Well, we have Elaine, No Ordinary Love, as the inspiration song of the day. We'll be right back. Gen Z.
Live.
Is it Women Crush Wednesday? Now, today in a special way, I would like to recognize the fact that the Pope has appointed a woman, a nun, as the first woman prefect of a Vatican department. So yes, in as much as the Vatican has had women as secretaries and undersecretaries, this is the first time a woman is heading a department. Now, the pro-prefect is a cardinal who is now being basically slightly below this woman. It is not yet known what his role is going to be, but at least we know that the woman is going to be heading this department. I think when it comes to, you know, the girl child and them going places, there is something that is happening at the Vatican, and I like it. How are you, Jerome? Don't you like it?
There's so many changes, by the way, since Pope Francis came into office.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the previous popes are not in the same direction, but of course I think when you look at the reports coming in, as we started this conversation, before we even went on air, I had to even ask what it means for a woman to be in this position.
Yes.
Meaning it's one that is supposed to be looked at as a huge milestone.
Yes.
Not only for the Catholic Church, but for the women ministers world over in various religious denominations. Because despite the fact that we've always had this conversation of equality in the church, at times you get to realize, Olive, that not so many women have been given the chance or the opportunity to serve in various roles. Of course, despite those that serve under the Church of England, or the Church of Uganda, or the Anglican Church, where we are seeing women as preachers, women as bishops. But of course, over the years, many of these changes have been coming in, and at least one would say church has not been reached with decision making, and over the years we are seeing these changes. And of course, I'm thinking that we're going to be looking at more women getting into these positions, especially
as they
in
should.
church.
As they should.
And also in the same capacity, as we're heading into the summit, yesterday I got the chance of attending the media breakfast meeting, where quite a number of reporters, media presenters were there as they were being taken through what to expect during the summit, the 3-day summit going to be held in Munyonyo. And of course it was more like a kind of preparation for the media personalities, or let's say reporters, how best they can articulate the facts during the summit and how they can
daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m. Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Junko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The Parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it's amazing that you are with us this morning. Good morning once again. And if you're just joining us, welcome to Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najuma. Now, the CADAP Summit is taking shape. It is happening from tomorrow to Saturday, that is the 9th to the 11th of January 2025 here in Kampala. Expected to attend are leaders from 55 African Union member states, and this will include their presidents and of course ministers, farmers, since it is an agriculture summit, and also development partners and many more. So what we've done from the beginning of this week is take you through different aspects of why the summit is important. We have been engaging different opinion leaders regarding issues agriculture in Uganda and in Africa, and we continue to do the same. Now, for many Ugandans, they wonder and ask the question, why is this summit important, or what is the purpose of this summit? Well, the purpose of the summit, first of all, is to tackle Africa's key agriculture challenges, and it is to track the Malabo Declaration progress. Yes, what happens with the summit is that they have a 10-year program, strategic program and action plan that is followed. Now, what will happen this week in Kampala is that we will have a Kampala Declaration. But for now, we track what happened at the Malabo Declaration and what has been done over the last 10 years. And also, the focus areas for the summit is agriculture-driven growth, climate resilience, youth and food security. The other focus area is that leaders, experts and partners will unite for actionable policies. So as we get through the Kampala Declaration, there will be documents signed and declarations made, and also we will now know what entails what is entailed in the Kampala Declaration, because it's going to run for the next 10 years. This summit is aimed at shaping Africa's future, and the theme of the summit is building resilient agri-food systems in Africa. So So that's why everything we are talking about, everything experts are talking about is agriculture in terms of Africa. Basically, we are trying to create African solutions for Africa's food problems. That's why this summit is very important. Among the key issues in the action plan is fighting hunger, but also making agriculture spread and advanced across the continent, but also making sure that we have food security for generations to come. That's why it's very important for us to be part and parcel of this summit. Now, the significance of the summit it is to review progress on the Malabo Declaration goals and also to boost commitment to agriculture in Africa's development, and also to unite stakeholders to address food insecurity, climate change, and youth unemployment. So yes, it is a whole lot of different focus points that our leaders will be looking at to devise solutions for the problems that have been the continent has been grappling with when it comes to agriculture. Now, I am with Jerome Paul Sonko, and Jerome, good morning once again.
Good morning.
Yes. Now, for many people would wonder. I have shared what the significance of the summit is and what the purpose is. But why does CAADP matter? Why should a Ugandan be interested in the proceedings of the CAADP summit?
Well, and starting it off from there, there are some key highlights on the reasons as to why any Ugandan, especially those who are involved in the agricultural value chain, and I want to believe that many of us, in one way or the other, are involved in agriculture. That is, it can be majorly through subsistence. You're not growing to, let's say, to sell off or to do commercial agriculture, but you're having something you're doing that is related to agriculture, either poultry, rearing animals, or maybe growing something in your backyard. It may be small beans or something, but you're involved in agriculture in one way or the other. Or if at all you're not directly involved in it because you're staying in the city, but maybe in the village there is something that is that you're engaging in. But looking into why CAADP matters as a summit, there is the bit of the economic growth through agriculture. Now, a breakdown of the same here shows that agriculture drives 23% of Africa's GDP and employs 70% of its population. And with the same, CAADP supports policies prioritizing agricultural investment, meaning with this same summit that is coming into Kampala, you realize that they're going to be looking deep into these aspects of agriculture. One, the economic growth. And if you're to look at the bit of the economic growth basing on agriculture, since in 2003, one of the key elements of CAADP and why it came about, and the thing that they decided was every government was to have 10% of its annual heading into financing the agricultural sector, which not so many of the member states have been able to achieve. And this is one of the reasons as to why with this CAADP summit of 2025 here in Kampala, they expect that with the final draft of the Kampala Declaration, many of these will be talked about. Then there's the bit of the climate resilience. The program is promoting sustainable agriculture to address climate change impacts. And then there's also food security. And the bit of the food security is also essential. CAADP aims to end hunger by boosting food production, promoting sustainability, reducing post-harvest losses, and improving market access. And then finally, there is youth and women empowerment. CAADP fosters agribusiness opportunities for youth and women, ensuring inclusive growth.
Well, the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, that is CADAP, has been crucial in driving agricultural transformation across Africa since its inception in 2003. And the program is aimed at increasing food security and nutrition, reducing rural poverty, creating employment, and contributing to economic development while safeguarding the environment. Now, CADAP aims for a 6% annual growth rate in the agriculture sector, with the African Union member states allocating at least 10% of their budgets to agriculture. Now, looking at Uganda's agricultural exports over the years, we are looking at November 2024, where Uganda exported 400,536 coffee bags worth $108.91 million. And of these, 57,554 were Arabica bags. By the way, Arabica coffee is predominant indigenous to Uganda. It started by self-growing along the shores of Lake Victoria, and later on the people from the Uganda area started growing it in their farms and gardens. So when you see Arabica coffee, just know that it is indigenous. The original comes from Uganda. But then 342,982 were Robusta bags, and these accumulated $91.66 million. The Arabica accumulated $17.25 million US dollars. Other key exports were maize, beans, fish, and dairy. So that's where we stand as far as exports in the year agricultural exports in the year 2024. Now we have different government programs. Joram, tell us about those.
Of course, looking into the different government programs now this is from Uganda's perspective, yes. Olive. That is also the programs that have been geared towards promoting agriculture in the country. There is the parish development model with the PDA here. You look at it as a model that has been supporting over 10,000 circles, benefiting close to 1.99 million people, or close to 2 million plus of the beneficiaries when it comes to the PDM. Because when you look at the money that has been going into these circles, many of the people who have been picking this money have been investing heavily in commercial agriculture, or that is in, let's say, beekeeping. People have been putting in fish farming. All of these are cores of agriculture, and with Uganda's perspective, you do realize that commercial agriculture is something that we are steadily looking at to ensure that livelihoods are uplifted and ensuring that many Ugandans get into the money economy. Now, when you look into the breakdown of percentages, 42% invest in crops. 42% of those who are involved in agriculture in Uganda. Now, the crops that are being invested in to make the 42% is coffee, there is maize, cassava, and then vegetables. So those are also those are the crops that many of the Ugandans are investing in. Now, there's 39% of the others are active in livestock. That is dairy, piggery, and then goat rearing. Goats rearing. So that is a 39% representation. Then 17% of those in the agriculture value chain are in poultry, or they are keeping hens and other related birds for commercial purposes. And then 2% are in non-farming, baking and retail. Meaning, when you look into, in fact, this is a breakdown of how many people have been benefiting from PDM, that those that were given the money from PDM have been investing heavily in crops, 42%, 39% in livestock, 17% in poultry. Only 2% are away from the agriculture sector. So meaning the majority are already or got their interest in agriculture, and they are continuously reaping big from the same. And also with the government of Uganda, it has other projects aimed at ensuring that we are moving in the direction of the Malabo declaration of in 2003. There is investments in climate resilient agriculture and modernization projects. So all of these are also geared towards ensuring that Ugandans are getting something from commercial agriculture.
Well, interesting. Now, speaking about the Maputo Declaration, this was in 2003 and it ran up to 2013, since these are 10-year strategic and action plans. Now, the 2014 Malabo CADAP declaration that Jerome has referred to renewed commitment to CADAP and established ambitious goals for 2025, including eradicating hunger, reducing malnutrition, tripling intra-African trade, and building resilience of livelihoods and production systems. The Malabo Declaration also underscored the importance of mutual accountability through agricultural biennial reviews and recognized the essential role of related sectors like infrastructure and rural development. So it's a whole organized program that has been well tracked from 2003, and now we are getting into what is also referred to a third generation declaration. The first generation was the Maputo Declaration of 2003 to 2013, and the second declaration, which is also referred to as the second generation declaration, was the Malabo, and now the third generation will be the Kampala Declaration that will also be adopted this week. Now, looking at statistics, Jerome, I see that Africa's population is set to reach 2.5 billion by 2050, and sustainable agriculture is crucial for feeding the continent. Still on the same, CADAP has supported over 50 million farmers across Africa. And CADAP investments have reduced poverty by 30% in participating countries. So this is quite interesting and a way to go. Like we said, one of the key goals of the declarations was to eradicate hunger and reduce malnutrition in Africa. So, Jerome, let's look at the CADAP Agenda 2063.
And when you look into the Agenda of 2063, I just wanted to first re-echo a little bit of the 7 commitments of the CADAP Malabo Declaration.
Yes.
That was in Equatorial Guinea. There was a recommitment to the CADAP principles and values, that is from the inception bit. And then there was increased investment in agriculture. Of course, many African governments are moving into that direction. However, it has not yet been fully achieved. There is ending hunger by 2025, where we are not reporting cases of food insecurity whatsoever. And then reducing poverty by a half by 2025. There is also increasing intra-African trade in agricultural goods. There is increasing resilience of production systems and livelihoods to climate change, and strengthening accountability for actions and results. Now, as you've mentioned that by 2050, the chance is Africa's population is going to grow by 2.5 billion.
Yes.
And according to the Agenda 2063, shows that they want to see or have zero hunger. So ending hunger and food security is a priority or top of the agenda. And as well, there is also a goal for a prosperous Africa, meaning you've ended hunger and you've created room for food security, and every country in Africa has enough in its food basket to feed that 2.5 billion population that will have, have risen by 2050. And by 2063, it will maybe be at around 2.7 or even more. Now, also the element of regional integration and trade. That is also part of the Agenda 2063. And regional integration and trade goes way beyond just selling goods and commodities, but also ensuring that there is free visa access for anyone who's traveling within the African continent. Because many countries, and the beauty is for Ghana, for example, now any person can easily go and travel there. Minus need to, yeah, it's now visa free. So many of the African countries are still looking into that bit of things, because there is no way you're going to push for regional integration and trade when you're having visa restrictions.
Yes.
And then the other part of the Agenda 2063 is climate resilience and sustainability. So looking at the conversations of climate change, we need to also have climate resilience kind of agriculture modes under which farmers are operating. That whatever way you you know, whatever agriculture kind of activity you're dealing in, it is not affecting the climate whatsoever, and it is climate resilient, meaning it can stay with time, not affecting the environment, not affecting or not leading to any bit of the climate change. So that is also part of the agenda for 2063.
All right. Now, in the during the 37th ordinary session of the African Union Assembly in February 2024, the heads of state and government, that is, they expressed concern that the continent is not on track to meet the Malabo CAADP goals and targets by 2025. And this has spurred a call for the development of a post-Malabo CAADP agenda to build resilient agri-food systems. So it is in this context that an extraordinary summit of the African Union Assembly of Heads of State and Governments is scheduled to take place on January to the 11th of January 2025 in Kampala, and they will be deliberating on the post-Malabo CAADP agenda to consider the draft 10-year CAADP strategy and action plan with its associated draft Kampala Declaration on advancing Africa's inclusive agri-food systems, transformation for sustainable economic growth and shared prosperity. Now, the objectives of the summit, we shared them earlier, but I will reiterate. It is the convening of the extraordinary session of the Assembly, and it is specifically to endorse the draft Kampala CAADP Declaration. The draft declaration provides a vision for transforming Africa's agri-food systems for the period between 2026 to 2035. Also, it is to endorse a 10-year CAADP strategy and action plan that is 2026-2035. And this plan provides details on how to achieve the goals and targets in the draft Kampala CAADP Declaration. Jerome, if you may, you could take us through the formal and structure of the summit.
And looking into the format and structure of the summit is basically looking into how everything is going to happen. Because this is a 3-day event, and the first bit of the event is going to have, that is on the 9th of January, which is tomorrow, will be more of the ministers responsible for agriculture, rural development, water and environment in the different 55 African Union states. Now also, from there, on the 10th of January, we shall be having a joint session of the Ministers of Agriculture, Rural Development, Water and Environment, together with the Ministers of Foreign Affairs. And meaning the member states will, that will be represented during the CAADP Summit will have their foreign ministers or ministers of foreign affairs in those countries having a joint sitting or a joint meeting together with the ministers of agriculture from various countries, and of course also ministers of rural development, water and environment having this meeting. And then on the final day, on the final day, we shall be having the Assembly of Heads of State and Government that will convene on the 11th to endorse. Now, what will they be endorsing? During the sessions of the ministers and the foreign affairs ministers, they will be discussing and throwing in a draft of the CADIP 10-year strategy and action plan for 2026 to 2035, when there will be another summit with a different declaration as well. Now, then they will also be setting up a 10-year strategy. When you look at this, when you look at the summit itself, it is more of a program that is supposed to ensure that there is development within the agricultural sector. Now, the development is also supposed to enable farmers or everyone involved in the agricultural value chain to gain from it. Meaning any farmer out there living deep in Lugazi, anyone in Kamuli, everyone who is maybe growing some bit of coffee somewhere in Luero or anywhere, you're supposed to earn off it. So every decision that is going to be taken in Kampala and an action plan for the next 10 years is not only going to be implemented by the Ugandan government, but it will also be implemented by the other 55 African Union member states. Meaning a farmer in Lekki in Nigeria will also be picking from that action plan. So that means any decision maker from Nigeria who will be here, or any decision maker from Ghana who will be here to talk about agriculture, they're supposed to throw in their ideas that are supposed to also favor their farmers for that 10-year plan. Now, that draft Kampala declaration will be done in closed sessions according to the format of the summit, and then after that they will get all the you know, the ideas that they've shared into one final draft that will be shared to the heads of state and government, who will then convene in order to endorse. If the heads of government and heads of state of different countries endorse the draft, it will now become the final Kampala declaration of CADIP 2025.
All right. Again, the attendees of the summit, the summit, first of all, is expected to draw participation from 55 African Union member states. Member states at the level of head of state and government, ministers responsible for agriculture, ministers responsible for foreign affairs, development partners, high-level dignitaries of AUC, regional economic communities, academia, research institutions, farmers and farmers organizations, private sector, youths, and the media. And that's why we are here today. Now, hosting the summit is a testament to Uganda's leadership in agriculture, with programs like Parish Development Model promoting inclusive development and transformation of livelihoods. We are ready to share our journey with the rest of the African nations. That is us as Uganda making a bold statement regarding the summit. So, Jerem, as we close, are you excited about this summit?
Well, from my side of things, I don't know, I'm anticipating quite a number of things during the summit from the media perspective of things, because I've also been told that there will be some exhibitions for some of the farmers from various African countries, meaning everyone will at least have something to exhibit that is unique about their country. And from Uganda's perspective, we have so many unique things in agriculture. But of course, the coffee really stands out in the agriculture sector because if you're to look at our coffee exports, the volumes, the quality of the coffee of Uganda, it's really, it does look like it's going to be what we are going to be fronting. But I'm not saying it's the only thing that we can front, because I've seen many Ugandans getting involved in the agriculture. And the beauty about the summit also is that we are having the young people or the youth being involved in this summit, meaning they'll be picking something out of it, and then maybe we shall stop having that mentality that the young people do not love
Agriculture. You know, there has been the argument that make agriculture attractive or sexy for the young people in the country. Well, let's take a short break. We are still speaking matters, Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, which is CADAP, taking place between the 9th and 11th of January 2025. Now, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back, still delving further into CADAP.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Uganda will host the African Union Extraordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government from the 9th to the 11th January 2025 at the Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort and Convention Center. The summit will consider and adopt the new Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, CADIP framework, and sign the Kampala Declaration to run for the next 10 years. The CADIP Kampala 2025 summit will unite over 2,000 delegates, including government leaders, private sector and stakeholders, under the theme, Building Resilient Agri-Food Systems in Africa.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Lake Victoria, Africa's biggest freshwater body lake, is dotted with so many islands. When you talk about the 84 islands that are just in Kalangala district, talk about Tessa Islands, Bulago Islands, so many islands that you could think about every time you think about islands that are dotted on Lake Victoria, because yes, it is Africa's largest. However, there are so many other unique islands that have not been explored in Uganda, and that they will shock you with the beauty that they have. I bet that you have been at Dory Island. You know, one place that we've been having in Uganda that is very common for rock paintings, that is Nyero rock paintings. But now this place, Dory Island, is outshining this one place that we've been having in the country. Now this island, Dory Island, is located in Namayingo district at the eastern part of Lake Victoria. It has so many things that I cannot even explain. Words cannot explain the beauty, the mystery of paintings that are here at this place, the rocks, the beautiful landscapes. The place is so virgin that I am going to commend you, or I'm going to challenge you to make sure that you visit this place. But before, let's go around and you see what is happening at this place.
My name is Discharge Gabriel. I'm a conservator at Lolwe or Dory Rock Art Site, or we call it Heritage Site. The word Lolwe came from the founder, who is Rabango, that sent his team to come and look for a new land, place to stay. It came from the word Okulorwa, like his team and the sons came here and they went back and then told him about how the travel was and the visit of the island.
This island has a lot of historical features. To start with, we have rock gongs, we have rock depressions, there are rock paintings on this island, and all these things are natural. Things that trace back from 20,000 years ago. Now that is something you don't want to miss out.
We have a lot of amazing things on the island that I would wish people to come and see. We have a number of paintings. We have them at Gorofa, Abukangawa Singla, and other places. We do hiking here. You can come and hike the rocks. We have the engravings, the games, actually the rocks that are engraved in the ancient games. We have the board games, we call them Omweso. We have the caves, rock shelter, where our ancestors used to stay. We have the gongs, like sounds like xylophone, those instruments that they were using before the discovery of drums. We have a number of things like even sunset capture, we have beach walk, we have a number of beaches here. We also cruise to some of the islands, like the iconic, which is Mwango. It is very beautiful. I wish people to come and visit. There is also birding we do, and we do birding, not like on main as such, but we do birding on water. As you cruise around, you enjoy the water, you also enjoy it. There is a lot. So far we have a ferry that can connect us from main, which is Bukana Sigulu, to Lolwe or Dory Island.
How to get here is very easy because we have a free ferry. The government put a free ferry, Unra ferry, which is in Amayingo, so it will only take you 3 hours to get here. All you need to do is just drive from wherever you are, get to the ferry every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday and Saturday. That is when you travel, and you'll be here in just about 3 hours. Have a good time, enjoy the place. The good thing is we even have facilities where you can sleep. We have a new facility like Lafang. We have several other upcoming facilities. So when you're here at the island, you're just good to go. The place is amazing, and trust me, the history around here, the culture is just spot on.
I think you've seen what is really we are talking about in Dory Island. The beauty at this place is really mesmerizing. However, like you've seen, the place is so virgin. The place doesn't have any tourism developments. It doesn't have a lot of accommodation facilities. I think there is only currently just one accommodation facility where you can think about, that is Lafang Eco Resort. That is where you can stay currently. But the place is so virgin. It is open for investments. If you want to improve tourism in this place, you can think about investing in such places. The government is also working together with the districts to see that they improve also on the transportation to this place, because I think there was no ferry that was going to Dory Island until the recent 2 years. That is when they got a ferry that goes to Dory Island from Busia. So this is a destination that you must visit. Its beauty is captivating, and it is just that once in a lifetime experience that you shouldn't miss. I am Irene Alena Misango. This is the GM Tourism Express, and covering for you all the beauties that there are in the country.
Into the post-festive season era, and many corporate institutions are now gearing up to ensure that they continue supporting entrepreneurs in the country. Now, in the same capacity, in a bid to empower small businesses and also large businesses and individuals in the financial landscape, in 2025, Absa Bank has come up with a campaign where clients can access salary loans of up to 300 million with no need for collateral security. Now, the launch has been held at the launch was held at the Absa headquarters in Kampala yesterday, following the festive season, which is generally characterized by a lot of spending, travel, and the like. Now, the beginning of the year prompts individuals to set new resolutions, new goals. Of course, it kind of puts them into that mix of ensuring that they have some money at their disposal, which at times is not the case, especially after the festive season. Now, Absa Bank launched Joga 2025 with special focus on a special focus to assist its clients with convenient loan repayments. And under this arrangement, there is a special boost to parents who can now access school fees loans or non-collateral loans of up to 300 million with zero arrangement fees. Now, recognizing human capital development as critical to the nation's development, as outlined in Uganda's Vision 2040, the campaign is designed to enhance both individuals' aspirations and also empowering business growth to achieve their goals and stay afloat amidst the year's ups and downs. Now, the move is also aiming to address the challenges of access to credit due to stringent collateral requirements, and the financial institutions are also prioritizing cashless transactions, which is faster, more convenient, and safer. Now, away from that, we turn our focus on two matters: tech business, because the first report that showed that NVIDIA has unveiled the RTX 50 series of graphics cards. At the Consumer Electronics Show 2025, NVIDIA unveiled its latest series of graphics cards known as the RTX 50 series, which promises to push the boundaries of gaming and graphical computing once again. This new lineup includes the high-end RTX 5090, the RTX 5080, along with the more accessible RTX 5070, Ti, and the RTX 5070. Now, each bringing significant advancements in performance, technology, and design. Now, the RTX 50 series is built on NVIDIA's new Blackwell architecture, marking a significant leap from the previous Ada Lovelace architecture used in the RTX 40 series. Now, the flagship RTX 5090 is touted to be twice as fast as the RTX 4090, and is also touted to be twice as fast as the RTX 4090, which was already a powerhouse, with performance boost being attributed to several key enhancements. Now, in the same capacity, from the tech news is that Samsung is diversifying artificial intelligence through a PC lineup with new Galaxy Book 5 Pro and Galaxy Book 5 360 at the CES 2025. Now, the Samsung Electronics has broadened its AI-enhanced PC offerings with the unveiling of the Galaxy Book 5 Pro and the Galaxy Book 5 360. And these new additions of the Galaxy Book series bring advanced AI capabilities to meet the diverse needs of modern users, combining powerful performance with innovative features. And also, the Galaxy Pro 5 Pro is the Galaxy Book 5 Pro is engineered for those who demand efficiency and power in their daily computing tasks. Equipped with the latest Intel, that is Intel Core Team Ultra processors Series 2, featuring NPUs of up to 47 tops. This laptop ensures rapid processing speeds for artificial intelligence intensive tasks with AI Select, a new feature allowing users to search for information directly from their screens with a simple click. Now, the Galaxy Book 5 Pro promises productivity with an intuitive twist. Now, for the users seeking versatility, the Galaxy Book 5 360 steps in with a convertible design. Also powered by Intel's cutting-edge processors, this device can seamlessly transition between laptop and tablet modes, catering to creatives and multitaskers alike, and also ensuring that you can easily enjoy the new era of artificial intelligence. Well, that does it for business this Wednesday, the 8th of January 2025, one day to the CADIP Summit here in Kampala. I'm Jerome Paul Sonke. Good morning, Uganda. Let's continue more conversations rotating around the preparedness of this country for the CADIP Summit, but also looking at in two matters of its impact on how it can, or how we Ugandans can benefit from the same, the agriculture practitioners, or what you could say those within the agriculture value chain, and more from the same summit, which kicks off tomorrow, the 9th of January. Stick around. The Good Morning Uganda agenda comes up next. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Uganda will host the African Union Extraordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government from the 9th to the 11th January 2025 at the Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort and Convention Center. The summit will consider and adopt the new Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, CADIP framework, and sign the Kampala Declaration to run for the next 10 years. The CADIP Kampala 2025 summit will unite over 2,000 delegates, including government leaders, private sector and stakeholders, under the theme, Building Resilient Agri-Food Systems in Africa.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Empty chair that wasn't supposed to be empty today. All because someone thought arriving 5 minutes earlier was worth speeding through that last corner. No destination. This festive season, thousands of chairs across our country should not remain empty. Chairs that hold our fathers, mothers, children, friends. Is your rush worth leaving an empty chair at someone's table? Drive within speed limits, because every empty chair tells a story of loss that could have been prevented. Speed kills. Drive to arrive alive. Tofia Kukubo. This message is brought to you by Uganda Broadcasting Corporation in partnership with Uganda Professional Drivers Network, Private Sector Foundation Uganda, and Maritime Cargo.
Welcome to Inside Broadcasting,
sharing with you the process behind what you see on the screens.
My name is Lorraine Masika Kazimoto.
Step behind the scenes and witness the magic that brings your daily broadcasts to life.
That's why I come out openly to actually tell you that I'm an investigative journalist. That even when you see me here, I'm actually investigating you guys. So you should be aware about that.
Experience the hustle, the heart, and the human stories of our on and off-air staff.
I see my phone ringing and I'm like, ooh, which number is this? I hear the president on the other line.
The president of the Republic of Uganda.
Of Uganda, yes.
Be inspired, amazed, and part of the journey that powers Uganda's most captivating TV and radio moments.
Because good broadcast comes down to an individual. They should be artistic.
This is Inside Broadcasting.
Inside Broadcasting.
Inside Broadcasting with Mark Wadula.
Uganda will host the African Union Extraordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government from the 9th to the 11th January 2025 at the Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort and Convention Center. The summit will consider and adopt the new Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, CADIP framework, and sign the Kampala Declaration to run for the next 10 years. The CADIP Kampala 2025 Summit will unite over 2,000 delegates, including government leaders, private sector and stakeholders, under the theme, Building Resilient Agri-Food Systems in Africa.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for rising with Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najuma, and it's time we now dig deeper into our agenda segment where we are still speaking matters CADIP Summit. Now, CADIP stands for Comprehensive African Agriculture Development Program, also known as CADIP, where we have different African leaders that are going to convene in Uganda to speak matters agriculture. The summit is aimed at reshaping Africa's future for the Africa's agriculture future for the next 10 years, and there will be a declaration also known as a Kampala Declaration by the time the summit ends. Now, the summit will start tomorrow, the 9th of January 2025, and it will run up until the 11th of January 2025. We are expecting over 2,000 delegates, among those heads of state, ministers, development partners, farmers, the private sector, and so many more. Africa's agriculture future is on the hotspot here because we need to ensure that there is safe food security for generations to come, but also that there is reduced hunger and malnutrition on the continent. That's why we are taking the initiative to discuss even further, to have you understand why this summit is important to you as a Ugandan, what it means for your food, livelihoods and trade. Now, joining me to have further conversation regarding the same is Mr. Grace Bwenje, who is the Senior Planner, Agriculture and Head Agro-Industrialization Program at the National Planning Authority. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Olive. Thank you very much for inviting me to come here and talk about this subject. I'm very privileged to be here.
All right. Now, as the summit is taking shape, the theme of the summit is building resilient agri-food systems. Please help us understand the meaning behind this theme.
Yes, building resilient agri-food systems. Maybe first of all, I need to take you through what food systems are.
Yes.
Food systems, this is just a system. It is what happens to food from production up to consumption. This means we have research at the bottom. How do we research to make sure that we have the right food? And also now we look at production of food. How do we sustainably produce food? How do we transport this food? How do we store this food? How do we market this food? And how do we sustainably consume this food? But also very important, how do we manage the waste when we are consuming this food? So a sustainable food system means that it is a one that is a resilient one, and it's one that easily recovers from shock, means that all the actors are benefiting, because a food system has processes. It has the actors and processes. So within the food systems, are the farmers actually benefiting or they are being cheated? Are the transporters, are the storage facilities working? Are the markets working for the food systems? Are the consumers actually receiving the food that they require, or it's compulsory that they must consume what is available in the market? So that's what we call a sustainable and resilient food system. Delivering, and actually the entire outcome of a food system should be nutrition. Does a sustainable food system deliver the nutrition that the population is requiring?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that we have a clear understanding of what food systems mean, let's now dig deeper. Starting off, every summit normally has objectives. So what are the specific objectives for the CADIP Kampala Summit 2025?
Yeah, first of all, I think as Uganda, we are very privileged and happy to be hosting this summit. This food systems summit. The requirements, if I to give you a little bit of the background, the last year in February, the heads of state at the UN summit, in their ordinary 37 session sitting, they agreed that the Malabo declaration is not on track. It's not on track. Why? Because if you look at the Malabo Declaration was released in 2014. It came in to robust what was adopted in 2003, the Maputo Declaration. From 2003 to 2013, that was a 10-year plan. Now, so 2014 came in to robust it and fast track it. And because, as you know, the CADAP is supposed to accelerate the transformation of agriculture within Africa. So Malabo Declaration comes in 2014, first of all, to have zero poverty, like eliminate extreme poverty. And as I speak now, we still have poverty within African countries, including Uganda. And also, it required us to have zero hunger and all that. As you know, with our recent statistics, about 4 Ugandans out of 10 are still hungry, meaning they can't access at least 3 meals a day. And also, it was supposed to fast-track intra-trade within African countries. But as I speak now, you know, we have challenges, even as Uganda, sometimes passing our agricultural commodities across the borders to other countries. This is happening to other countries. So these leaders appreciated that we are not on track. So now that meeting, the 37th session, agreed that why don't we have an extraordinary meeting? And they choose Kampala. Can we have this meeting? And this meeting, they agreed that we must actually transform the agri-food systems. Because agri-food systems were identified by the UN in 2021, and we had a food systems summit. The UN identified that for us to achieve all the 17 SDGs, we must transform the food systems. Why? Because the food systems are linked to every SDG. Talk of no poverty, you must have food. Talk of zero hunger, definitely you must have food. If you have to decent job, if you have decent jobs, most of the jobs that we have, say, in Uganda are agri-food related. They are agriculture related jobs. If you have a perfect life on land, that is agriculture. Land, life in water, that is fish, that is food. Sustainable cities must depend on food and all that. So the Kampala Summit comes here to make sure that we have an agri-food systems transformation plan for the next 10 years. So the leaders will be here to adopt that, to sign that. And after signing it, and of course, definitely it has an action plan for each overall framework must have an action plan. So they are here to declare and agree to the action plan that's attached to the Kampala Declaration of transforming the African food systems that should be resilient.
Okay. Now, I do understand that Kampala will be adopting a bold 10-year strategy and action plan. Why is this 10-year roadmap between 2026 to 2035 critical for agriculture transformation across the continent?
Yeah, this 10-year plan is very critical for agriculture transformation. One, you know that Africa, we are largely based on what we have. We have tourism, we have agriculture, we have the minerals. But a key driver of those opportunities is agriculture. Now, first transform agriculture, and this theme is based on 6 strategic objectives. One, Africa must increase agricultural production. And in that objective still must have rapid agro-industrialization, and also we must have markets work for the population. That's the first objective, increasing production, because if you have agro-industrialization work for the population, then you must have a sufficient raw material. You know, sometimes the Asians come here and they say, could you please supply us with goats? And we agree, but you cannot sustain this market for the 6 months, and the goats are over. So must have sufficient raw materials to support agro-industrialization. But the markets must work, meaning that we must remove all the non-tariff barriers, but also we must be able to have the standards, because that does not mean because we have non-tariff barriers, you give me maize that does not meet the standards. So that's what they mean. So in the other objective 2 is we must provide agriculture finance and investment. It's going to be the key driver of the entire framework, because financing is very key. It's the biggest enabler. So how do we make sure that governments are going to commit money, are going to meet financing? They will also leverage on public, on the private sector to finance, and also we hope that the civil society and the development partners also will contribute to this framework. The other one is how this benefits agriculture, is making sure we're going to have food and nutrition security. Food and nutrition security is the #1 security that any country can have. Make sure that your population, once your population is happy with food, once your population is satisfied, it is such a stable. Everything, all the economics globally, all the economics in the world depend on food. And that's why you see America can be as stable as it is, because it has food. Yes. So after that, for agriculture, do we have equitable livelihoods? You know, we have women in this value chains. We have the youth, who are now like 70% of Ugandans, but they don't have land. They can't borrow. So how do you make sure that you cater for them, to make sure that at least they are also involved in production? That's equitable livelihoods. How do you make sure that you have social protection? Then having a resilient now food systems, we need to make sure that we are climate smart. For example, climate change is real. So how do we as Africans mitigate and adopt against climate change? The other one that is very, very important is now food systems governance. Governance is very key. So if you don't have a food system proper governance, the food systems will not work. What do I mean? Do we have a well overarching legal framework, like a regulatory framework, a proper policy framework? I'll give you an example. Our 2003 food and nutrition policy. You've had 2003. How many years are those? Over 20 years?
20 years, yes.
So does that speak to the current shape of food systems in the country? No. But I can say at least we appreciate the Ministry of Agriculture that they have gone ahead now. They have started to review this policy to align it to the current food systems requirements. So that's it. Governance is key. Do the institutions work for the food systems? Do you have the right institutions? Do the institutions have the right manpower, have the right systems, and have we put the right standards in place? So that's what's going to benefit Africans, especially the agriculture transformation in Africa.
Okay. Well, we are looking at the CADEP Kampala Summit that will be taking place between 9th, which is tomorrow, to the 11th of January 2025. And we are looking at Africa's agriculture sector transformation agenda. We have a declaration that is on the heels to take place between the 2026 and 2035. That is a period of 10 years. So Mr. Wenje here is helping us understand why this declaration and why this strategy and action plan is important for Africa's agricultural future. Now, Mr. Wenje, to even go a bit further, let's look at the declarations that are going to be made or adopted. So what are the expectations with the Kampala Declaration that will be discussed and adopted during the summit?
You see, the expectations, for example, are, like I said, fast-tracking the food systems transformation is very key. But remember, CADEP originally in 2003, requires us as African governments to be growing our agriculture sector at 6% and above, and that is still a standpoint. But that can only happen if you're transforming the food systems currently, because for us to achieve that accelerated SDG, we must transform these food systems. It requires us that we have a 10% contribution of our overall national budget to agriculture. So, and that's it. So the expectations are that the leaders are going to sign this Kampala Declaration, and also its action plan, the CADAP plan. And very importantly, now next steps are, how do now governments adopt this new agenda? This is an extraordinary summit, because they realized this and said, no, let's fast track this. So the expectation is that the leaders are going to be very accountable. Now, this means each government is going to communicate this new transformation plan. So communication is going to be very important within government structures. So when they go home, if let's say it's the agriculture minister who attended, he has now to communicate this to across within the ministries, departments and agencies, the private sector, and also we have an M&E framework attached to this. How are we going to track the progress of this? So those are the expectations. And also we expect that there is stakeholder involvement. You see, the food systems is very wide. It has multiple actors and there are multiple actions. So if you don't involve everyone, say for example, you are running alone and let's say you're not engaging the Ministry, say, of Finance. So at the end of the day, you're not getting the right financing that you need. If you're running around and not engaging planning, then food systems in the country is not planned for. So it's an overall framework that we expect leaders will adopt and then go take back to their systems and then it's translated through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, CADAP, has been crucial in driving agriculture transformation across Africa since its inception in 2003. The program is aimed at increasing food security and nutrition, reducing rural poverty, creating employment, and contributing to economic development while safeguarding the environment. Now, CADAP also aims for a 6% annual growth rate in the agriculture sector, with African Union member states allocating at least 10% of their budgets to agriculture. How are we faring? That's a question I will be asking Mr. Wenje to answer a little later on. But for now, you can also join the conversation through WhatsApp number 0709-602-592. You can send in your queries and also any opinion that you may have regarding Africa's agriculture sector, or we can even narrow it down to Uganda's agriculture sector. Ask your questions. Mr. Wenje here is the right man to answer these questions. He is the Senior Planner, Agriculture, and also Head Agro-Industrialization Program, National Planning Authority. So yes, send those questions through. He will be able to answer them. Now, Mr. Wenje, going back to you.
Yes.
Going back to our discussion, I have a few questions that are coming through, but I'll bring those in later, so keep them coming. But when we look at the theme again, which is building resilient agri-food systems, one wonders, how do we build resilience as a continent amidst environmental and social stress?
Okay. How do we build this resilience? Now, for example, we are attacked by shocks. We have a lot of risks. And the lenders actually will always tell you that we are afraid to lend to agriculture. So these are some of the shocks. We do have pests and diseases, even just lack of education. Farmer education itself is a shock. We do have, you know, you've seen what happens in Ubududa. That cascades across Africa. Landslides are affecting agriculture. You saw us about 5 years ago being affected by locusts, desert locusts, which some people took lightly and others took it strongly. And we have the increasing droughts that you are seeing. In some areas, actually, we have increasing water, too much water. Like in Teso, sometimes it floods and you see people's cassava get destroyed, all this. So for us to be resilient, and also the other shock was COVID. COVID impacted on us negatively, and we are still suffering. Actually, the poverty that you see, the poverty levels that WUBOS is, for example, highlighting, are exacerbated by lack of food or non-functional agricultural system due to the impact of COVID. Now, so the resilience that we want is that how do we have a quick economic comeback? How do we have economic resiliency? But also, how do we have resiliency against this climate change that is coming up? And one, we're going to help, for example, invest strategically towards this resilience. We're going to put money in irrigation. Make sure that we have irrigation for both the large farmers, because it's these large farmers that also cover a wider mileage. Make sure that irrigation works for the smallholder farmers. Smallholder farmers need tailor-made solutions, such as, say, solar-powered irrigation. That's the resiliency. We make sure that we give them seed that itself resilient, and that's the key role of research. So research must be invested in heavily to make sure that now we are producing seed, for example, that is resistant to pests and diseases, that is resistant to weather extremes, both drought and floods. Now, also we must educate the farmers. The farmers and other actors within the value chain must have the right information. If there is an information gap, then we have information asymmetry within the food system. So how do we make sure that we educate them? For example, is that we enroll more extension workers, facilitate these workers with the right equipment that they need, and also facilitate farmer-to-farmer extension. You know, farmers prefer so much learning from their fellow farmers, like having demonstration plots and all this. But most importantly, we must have chemicals that actually respond to these pests and diseases, but chemicals that do not harm now the population. And you see, sometimes the challenges we have is having substandard, fake inputs that come on the market that are going to harm the farmer, him or herself, that are going to harm the crop. Then we must help our farmers recover. One, we group them. You must group the farmers so that they can collectively borrow, can collectively participate in government programs. For example, like the parish development model is one of the key models that makes food systems resilient. You're giving them choices for their food. I know what I want to eat. If I'm someone who drinks Bushera, I'm going to buy millet seed. If I'm someone who eats matoke, say if I picked money from the PDM, I will buy banana suckers and all that. So these are all programs. Organize them, fund them. Then also, can we have appropriate finance in place? Having the right agriculture finance, appropriate. Like if I am a small farmer, I am not going to borrow from Uganda Development Bank.
Yes.
Or the Uganda Development Corporation is not going to come support me. So that's why in institutions like the Microfinance Support Center will come in handy, say to lend to groups, but also lend to individual farmers that can afford that. So that's what we call building resilience within the food systems. Does the infrastructure work for the farmers?
Because
do you have road chokes? Yes. Do you have road chokes? Do you have better roads to move quickly the agricultural produce to the markets? Do you have the right infrastructure? And to go back also to governance, have you put the institutions in place that will rightly support these farmers and the other actors in the food systems to be very resilient? Yeah. So that's what we mean by resilient food systems. Yeah.
All right. Well, keep your questions coming through. We are looking at Africa's agriculture sector transformation agenda, and this is at the backdrop of the CADAP Kampala Summit taking place from tomorrow to Saturday. If you have any questions, please send them through. If you have any opinions, send those through too on WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. Now, currently, before the Kampala Declaration is adopted, we have the Malabo, the 2014 Malabo Declaration. And Mr. Bwenje, I would like to bring your attention to the ambitious goals that were made for 2014 to 2025. These included eradicating hunger, reducing malnutrition, tripling intra-African trade, and building resilience of livelihoods and production systems. And here the bigger question is, how has Uganda in particular adopted the Malabo CADAP Declaration?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I can say globally and at the continent level, and I'll be frank to you, and you know this, Africa, I mean Uganda, we are known for being fast learners and fast early adopters. So Uganda, one, we've adopted that agenda, CADAP agenda, through our planning systems. Let me tell you, this country has a vision 2040. And within the Vision 2040, we must have medium-term plans, because Vision 2040 is a 30-year plan from 2010. And we have what we call the national development plans. We have 1, 2, 3, up to 6. Now, those plans are the ones that actualize the national vision. And I would like to tell you that for at least for the last 2 NDPs, that is NDP 3, which we are concluding right now, it will conclude in June. We have the NDP 4 that is upcoming.
All of those are feeding into Vision
2040.
Yeah,
yes, they feed into Vision 2040.
Okay.
And we align. You know, we don't plan in a silo. We don't plan in a vacuum somewhere. We are very consultative. Uganda is not a siloed country somewhere. We respect international frameworks. So we have the SDG agenda 2030, and interestingly, that one is aligned to our NDP4. NDP4, when it is ending in 2030, it will exactly be, it's aligned because even the 2030 agenda is also ending at the same time. So we've been very deliberate to align this plan to SDG. Now we have what we call the Agenda 2063. This is the African agenda, where CADAP is one of the enablers. We align to this, and that's what we call the Africa we want. So what's that Africa we want for agriculture? You remember the 6 priorities I gave you, but also we at a planning level have made sure we adopt that agenda. So this has translated down, because now in the current dispensation of a program approach, the current dispensation of program approach is that we collapse the sectors. You know, we used to have education, we used to have agriculture, we have health, water, and all those others, environment. But how do we have a sync? How do we have a relationship? How do we have these feed into each other? So because of that, of the program approach, you're going to find that now all the Ugandan sectors are now working together for common results. And we adopted that in NDP3, beginning with 2020. So in this current approach, in the program approach. So that means now, because we've adopted this at planning level, this means that even budgeting is in a program mode, whereby money is allocated to results, not just outputs. Outputs, I mean, okay, you constructed a borehole in your community. Yeah, very good. But how is this borehole talking to reducing, say, disease like cholera, like dysentery? How is this borehole, say, communicating to enrollment, education enrollment rate in your community? So money is put now at, say, disease prevention rather than a borehole. So when you deliver a borehole, yes, you have delivered, but you have not delivered what we want. We want the results, and that means someone in water is going to deliver a borehole. Someone in education will make sure that, say, the children are getting to school early enough, like that. So with this program now, budgeting means, because I'm talking to how we have adopted this this CADAP within Uganda, this means that even the relevant institutions, the relevant programs, the ministries and agencies, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Water, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, they are working, say, together to make sure that they deliver on common results. That's the adaptation I'm saying. So while you are financing agriculture, this money is not actually directly so straightforward to the Ministry of Agriculture, but there are other players within that. For example, if it is agro-industrialization, the Ministry of Trade that is largely hinged to manufacturing, to processing, to trade, will attract a significant portion of this budget. So that's how we have adopted our program approach to planning, implementation, and also reporting. So when the OPM goes out to track results, they are tracking collectively. How did the Ministry of Education contribute to agriculture development? They will tell you, we have school gardens. These school gardens are for a school feeding program. You know, when the children are actually are actually hungry, means that you don't have the capturing of the thoughts. You affect their understanding in class. So a very hungry person is actually very angry. So the reporting,
a very hungry person is very angry.
Yes, very angry. So they will not learn in
yes.
class. They will not learn in class. So we work together, and even the reporting, the office of the Prime Minister, office of the President. So when they are doing the overall national reporting, they are following a program approach. So in that manner, agriculture is tracked across different sectors through programs.
Okay. Now, CADAP also aims for a 6% annual growth rate in the agriculture sector, and African countries, African Union member states, are asked to allocate at least 10% of their budgets to agriculture. Now, when I look at what's been going on, of all the 55 African Union member states, it is reported that only Rwanda seems to be on track to achieving this 10%. Now, in the case of Uganda, what has been the major detriment for us to adopt or have set aside 10% of our budget to, I beg your pardon, 10% of our budget to agriculture? Because from what I understand is that we have so far allocated only 4%.
Yeah, and that's what I was actually speaking to previously in my previous communication. You see, if you're sending money to the Ministry of Agriculture to deliver on agriculture transformation, and you're measuring only that, then you're going to measure the 4%. What I'm trying to say, that sectors work together. For example, let me give you an example. For you to deliver water for agricultural production, for irrigation, you're going to find a lot of expertise, you're going to find a lot of the policy framework in the Ministry of Water. And the budget will significantly give money to the Ministry of Water to make sure that we have, say, dams, make sure that we have irrigation systems working on together with agriculture. So if you're tracking money that you've sent to the agriculture, and you're not tracking money going to water, let me even give you another insight. For us to have proper nutrition in this country, WASH must be working. That is water and sanitation. The education must be working. Social protection must be working. The Ministry of Gender is involved. Agriculture systems must be working. So if you've sent in money and you're only tracking that went to agriculture, then you're going to measure 4%. And for me now, this is a recommendation actually that I give to the leaders that are going to meet in Munyonyo beginning tomorrow. Can we provide specificity? Because if you realize the 10% that they speak to contribute to agriculture, do you know that when you construct, say a road chalk, when you construct a small feeder road, in my area where we produce milk, and I am able actually to quickly take this milk to the dairy corporation in the town center, you've actually facilitated agriculture. So can we be very specific in this coming framework and say the 10% will be on this or specifically to this? And that's why the program approach that the government has adopted of us working together is a fundamental one. So we can either say this 10% is overall agriculture-related interventions, or we will say we are fast-tracking this 10% on these specific. So the countries that you're saying probably may not be performing. I'm not defending them. Probably there's ambiguity in the tracking indicators.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
yeah. It may be ambiguity. Some people may have even overshot, or some people still underperforming. But we need we need clarity in this. Can we be clear on actually what we are talking about?
Okay,
yeah.
That makes so much sense. Also, given that countries deal with different components of problems, starting with population, education levels, and to mention so much more, because you may compare a country that has a population of, let's say, 10 people, and you're comparing it to Nigeria that has lots of people over
millions,
there. Exactly. So anyway, I have a question coming in from Mildred. She says, nice show. Thank you, Wenje, for your details submissions. I have 2 key questions, so I'll ask you the first question and then the other after. She asks, what specific achievements and progress did we make under the previous CADAP program, particularly in relation to its objectives? I think you've answered that already, but probably you could give her a few bullet points.
Okay. The achievements.
Yes.
And one, our intention in the CADAP was to eliminate extreme hunger. And I think we have scored very well as Uganda on eliminating extreme hunger. Because once you create that dietary diversity that the population requires, you know, we are diverse people. My food preference is not your food preference.
That's right.
Majorly, maybe where we are coming from regionally, yeah, I may be coming from the north, and maybe I prefer millet.
And I come from the central, and I prefer matoke.
And you prefer matoke.
Yes.
So our preferences, but we have tried to, we have achieved the dietary diversity. Not 100%, we have achieved it. And the hunger, yeah, apart from the current statistics, which may be a bit disturbing, 4 people being hungry.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
4 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a lot, 40%. But I had sections of some people still debating that statistic. So I want to communicate more about it. We were supposed to fast track as CADAP intra-trade within African states. And as I speak now, we've secured a Nigerian market for milk for Ugandan farmers. We've secured markets for maize across. Well, yes, there may be some challenges sometimes. We've secured markets for our farmers. And also, we've largely focused on reducing the import bill, and more so in vegetable oil. You've seen the Kalangara oil palm project. Its intention is to make sure that we reduce the importation of the palm oil that comes into this country. Can we retain those US dollars for something else, for another investment? You know, it's very expensive to trade in dollars. So we can retain our dollars that we use to buy oil. That comes in, and also the other focus of Malabo was environmental sustainability. Well, I appreciate that we've actually lost the green cover in the country. I think we are also losing the wetland cover, but there are interventions that have been very specific, especially in these 10 years, the current NDP3 and the incoming NDP4 are largely focused on making sure how do we quickly recover our forest cover? How do we protect our forests to make sure that there is environmental sustainability? Because once you don't have environmental sustainability, means you are not actually scoring on food systems transformation, because these are interrelated. It's an ecosystem. Yeah. So we've scored as a country addressing hunger and also addressing malnutrition. Yeah. The stunting levels have largely gone down. Yeah, meaning making sure that at least the children now, the under 5, are able to grasp issues. Because once you are stunted, it means you're not having the right nutrients that you require. You require the proteins, the carbohydrates, you require the micronutrients. Micronutrients, which they are called micro, very needed in small amounts, but very, very important. So making sure that we have in our diets zinc, iron, and vitamins. And there are several programs that have been led by the Ministry of Health to make sure that we have nutrient-rich, diverse diets. I'll give you an example. If you have seen one of the adverts, if they say this wheat or this maize flour has been fortified with iron, zinc, vitamin B12, vitamin B2, and all that, vitamin A. Those are programs that the government has put in place to make sure that the population is not suffering from silent hunger. You know, it's called silent hunger. You are there, you look good, you're fat probably, but there are key nutrients that you're silently dying in there, missing zinc. Yeah, that's why it's called silent hunger, micronutrient deficiencies. And the government has done a lot of effort with support from development partners, private sector, to make sure that we reduce this malnutrition levels. And like, for example, our agro-industrialization in the current NDP3 focused to create 180,000 jobs annually. Yeah.
180,000
jobs annually. That's job creation. You know, Malabo focused also on creating jobs, employment, for the population.
Okay. Yeah, and I have also seen some products, food products on the market that show that they have been produced in conjunction with the government of Uganda or supported by the government of Uganda. So Mildred did ask a second question. She said, notably increasing access to agricultural financing. I think she's asking in relation to the objectives.
Yes.
And she says, notably increasing access to agricultural financing for sustainable agri-food systems has been a long-standing government priority with initiatives like SCF and UAIS. However, these goals remain unfulfilled. So her question is, what innovative, actionable strategies do you propose this time around to avoid business as usual and ensure tangible progress?
Well, yes, very good. Mildred is asking quick questions. For example, in our next plan, we have accepted that there is no policy framework for agriculture finance. And as I speak now, the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture, and other actors are spearheading the development of an agriculture finance and insurance policy to make sure that this policy guides, you know, first of all, it protects even the farmers and other actors. It also protects their lenders. So the policy is good. That's one of the key strategies we're going to put in place. Two, if Mildred is observing that government is increasing capitalization of the Uganda Development Bank and the Uganda Development Corporation. Government is putting in more money because when you give money to UDC, means that UDC is going to invest in industry. When it invests in industry, let's say a fruit factory, so people in that area, one, are able to sell their mangoes, say. That is income already. But within those factories, there are also jobs. But also, because you're adding value to food, to mangoes, you're increasing access. Because here in Kampala, people don't grow mangoes. They're waiting for mangoes or juice coming from up country. So you're increasing nutrition outcomes, because me who is in Kampala, I don't have a garden for mangoes. I can drink juice because government invested. So when you capitalize, but also increasing support to microfinance support center, but also government is increasing its contribution to the agriculture insurance.
Okay.
You know, a government has been putting money as premium for farmers who are insured against the vagaries of weather. You know? We have the weather-based insurance. So all these are catered for, and discussions are on that government should increase on the amount of funding towards these premiums that has been giving, so that farmers are insured. So the SCF also is being refined, that you know. That is the agriculture credit facility in the Bank of Uganda, making sure that at least lending is across the value chain and across the commodities. There are commodities, agricultural commodities that have been highlighted to drive us to the development that we need. So when you're lending, for example, at the SCF in Bank of Uganda, which money actually is translated to the commercial banks, because it's not BOU that lends this money. It lends it through commercial banks at that desired interest rate, to make sure that, because by going to commercial banks, you're increasing accessibility to the actors where they are. So how do we now say, for example, say we will lend only in those commodities that have been prioritized by a government to bring that growth that we desire, say, in the next 10 or 5 years. Yeah.
All right. Now I have more questions, but I don't think we have time. But I'll ask you this from John. He says, how can we ensure food security when we are more interested in production, marketing, and sales?
Yeah, what he's saying that, can we, for example, give farmers the right seed? This right seed must have been researched on, tested to make sure it's resilient, and it is high yielding, it's quick maturing, and it is resistant to all these pests and diseases. He is saying that do we have extension services? Do we have mechanization to facilitate quick production? Do we have agriculture financing? Do we have the right legal and institutional framework to make sure that we sustain this production that we need? Are we in control of the pests and diseases that eliminate our produce? Do we have the right post-harvest handling technologies and storage? You know, farmers produce, they're not able to store, and then their produce gets damaged. That's what he's saying, and it's what government is focusing on. Markets, are we making sure that we are actually into market research? Yesterday I was talking to someone, and I was telling him that I tested some yogurt somewhere. It made me disinterested in some other forms of yogurt. And then he was like, and I was saying, the yogurt I wanted was not flavored. But the population, which is 70% say youths, for them they want fancy things like flavored yogurt, sugar added yogurt. So do market research. But if you do market research, you who is adding flavors to yogurt, are you following the standards, say provided by the Bureau of Standards. They write standards. Yeah, so when you have the right standards, make sure that that means you are respecting the preferences of consumers across Africa. These people tell you we want goats that are not castrated. And that's what we need. So make sure you deliver the goats that are not castrated. Those are the standards. They are telling you we don't want contaminated maize. If you have this level of aflatoxin, if the million parts per, if the concentration of aflatoxin in maize is not desired, no one will buy it. So and make sure you establish the markets. Have MOUs and have discussions across with your trade partners. That's what we mean by markets working. Because you know your farmers are interested in producing vanilla. Then look for vanilla producing countries, have MOUs, have trade agreements with them to make sure that you deliver to them the vanilla that they need. Sustainably, you don't deliver for 6 months, for 1 year and say, we have given up. Then they will not trust you again. So there should be sustainability across. Yeah.
Okay. Now we have 2 minutes left, but in a minute, I have a question from Ashan Tabade from Consent. She says, good morning and thanks for this insightful show. Mr. Wenje talked about looking at having chemicals that respond quickly to diseases. What do you have to talk about the highly hazardous pesticides that are not approved by the European Union and not used in those countries, yet farmers here in Uganda are using them? What is the government doing about that? Your remarks on that will be our
the regulation bodies,
yes.
If she has evidence that it's true, that these chemicals are there on the market, regulatory bodies, both that is the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, the MAIF, must come in and regulate. They have to swing in action to make sure that we keep compliant to the Europeans, their standards, because they are the ones that have the market where we want to sell. So that's what I was telling you. You must dance to the tune. You must dance to the standard provided.
Who
so if these chemicals that there are living residues in food products are there, then the regulatory arms must take action.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Grace Wenje. This has been quite an insightful show. We have learned a lot.
Thank you very much, Olive, for hosting me. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. We are... My goodness, the CADAP Kampala Summit is taking shape. That is the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, CADAP Summit. It is taking place from tomorrow, 9th January to the 11th of January 2025. Now, what we have been doing since Monday and what we will continue doing until the summit is done is engage different agricultural experts from different sectors to have conversations regarding the same and also to know why the summit is very important for Uganda and the rest of Africa. Keep watching UBC. We are going to say goodbye for today and we'll catch you again tomorrow at 6:30 in the morning. But Robert Chirabo is coming up next with Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Maskari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson